Not literally. That walks up. Yeah. Before the cameras start.
No, you're on the button, David. You're just. In fact, it's your cue for us to start the meeting. Good evening, everybody. Just like to get the meeting underway, if we may. First item on the agenda is apologies for absences to be noted. Peter, what have we got?
We have apologies from Councillors Parker and Pratt, who are both away on trips. I would suggest, Chairman, as this is an unscheduled meeting, that those would normally be accepted.
Okay.
And also from Councillor Sarah Mansell, who is going to try and be here, but she has another meeting, she might be late.
And other councillors, have they been able to make it or not?
No.
Don't know. Okay. Thank you. We move on into agenda item number 2, to receive any members' declarations.
Could you remove me from the register? My involvement with Westgate has now ended. So if you could remove that, please, from the register.
Thank you. Anything else on this side? No? Okay, we'll move on. Agenda item number 3, a proposal from myself that the minutes of the Parish Council meeting held on the 18th of July as tabled be agreed as a true record. If I could have a second, please. Right, thank you very much. Go around the table. Any comments on the minutes? Julia, no?
No.
David, no? No. Okay. We can take a vote then to accept those minutes. For? Against? Abstain? Agenda item number 4, to invite public comment or questions on any item on this agenda. Over to you, anybody in the public.
I'm Jonathan Elder. I'm just here just supporting, we've got a agenda item 10.02, the Norwood property. So if there's any questions, we've made a sort of a complete redesign, resubmission. The original plans went in 2012. We've got, we spoke to all of our sort of neighbours, got all of their approvals and everything like that. So, we've done what we can. If there's anything that we can help you guys with, anything you need to know, whatever.
Okay, thank you for that.
Can we ask now? Can we ask this gentleman now any questions?
Ask him, no, it's questions being asked of the public, not us asking questions of the public.
He's just invited us to ask him.
No, it was the public that was asked.
Yeah, I
Thank you.
understand.
Right, that's good. Yes, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'd like to ensure that as a member of the public I get full discussion on agenda item 17 regarding council business, regarding potential developments and communication to and from the council. I just want to register that and make sure I get an opportunity to talk to you about it.
Is that any other business at the end?
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you. No? Any other questions from the public? No? Okay, thank you. We'll move on then to 5, to discuss the current casual vacancy and to take actions as appropriate. We all know we have a current vacancy.
Mr. Chairman, the notice was posted on the 7th by Suffolk, and I've circulated to councillors the response that we've had from a member of the public who is willing to be co-opted. So the councillors have seen that.
And we've all got that in our pack.
Yep.
Any comments from?
Yeah, if he's willing to stand, I think we should co-opt him, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so you support
If there's
yourself?
just one candidate,
I
is
think
it?
that was a proposal.
Yes.
Can we have somebody to second that?
I'll second that.
You're seconding it, right? Any other comments that you'd like
Yes,
to make?
I'd
Yes,
like to. I think co-option is a very undemocratic way of appointing councillors, but as no other member of the public has come forward. I do think we have to be very careful about co-opting people who have been rejected by the electorate, as this particular person was previously. I think when the public have rejected in an election, I think we have to be very careful about co-opting and think about how that will be seen.
Peter?
Well, I would just like to make the point that in this particular case, this person was beaten in the polls by new councillors who are no longer with us. They didn't stay the course. So I think that I don't think that's really an issue. So, yeah, it may not be undemocratic, it's not as democratic as an election, but that's the rules we're working under.
That's the process, and I
Exactly.
personally don't have a problem. I don't know the guy. I understand he's been a councillor in the past and served well.
Yeah.
This particular councillor, I've worked with him for 8 years, and he's a very, very good councillor. He's done a lot of very good work when he was in being elected or not. Nobody come forward. The one we've got will be him, and he'll be very good. I assure you that for the village.
Any other?
The point I'd like to make is that we're faced with this situation because we've had people who stood for the council who have failed miserably to stay the course, as Councillor Edmonds has suggested, because they didn't understand the way the council works and they're not prepared to work with us others to get things done. They just wanted to be disruptive. And when they couldn't have their own way, they decided to resign. And Mike Schofield has a long record of service in the village, and I think he would be a very suitable candidate. I would have liked to see some new blood, but obviously the new blood in the village is not flowing very well.
Well, perhaps it will in the future. We hope it will, David, because we won't last much longer.
I'm quite happy with the proposition that he is co-opted.
Okay. Well, I would be. Leslie, you want to say
Yes,
another word?
please. I think Councillor Hall's remarks were disgraceful. To criticise those people for stepping down from the council. They all made it very plain they were very disillusioned with this council when they stepped down. And when you say they were not prepared to work with this council, what they were doing was asking very, very pertinent questions, and they were not getting answers to them. Now, I really do think that what you've said is disgraceful, David.
I would not say that's the case, and I would say
I
that
know you would.
if those people had a genuine belief and mission, they would stick to it and not quit after such a short period. So I think I'd like to put it, unless it's
I think Councillor Hall's got it spot on.
yes, no, as I say, just supported that. So I'd like to propose that we take a vote on co-opting Mike Schofield to the council. So for, against. So you'll do the necessary bits, will you? Thank you. Agenda item number 6, to note the following correspondence and to take action to as appropriate. We've all got the correspondence again in our pack, so just open to the floor for a general discussion. Perhaps we could take them in order. 6.1. Good to see you back actually, so that's good. Is there anything you wanted to say or remark about the...
Fred?
You never answered the letter that I wrote.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't answer it. It went all over the minutes. If you're a genuine concern,
No, I'm just asking.
if you have a genuine concern, the way to do this is to pick up the telephone and speak to me privately, not to plaster it all over the minutes, all over the newsletter. No, I will not be replying to you.
Okay, fine.
Well, that sounds rather strange when information about councillors is plastered all over Facebook by a certain councillor, and other councillors are vilified in public media. To say that, I think, is a bit out of place.
I totally agree, and I wouldn't be attempt to discuss it any further. So in which case we move on to 6.2 from the Information Commissioner's Office regarding concerns. Peter, could you just say a few words on this, please?
Yes. Once again, I redacted one side of a copy of a letter which was circulated to the public and didn't redact the other side. The Information Commissioner has realised this is a human error and is taking no action.
I think we need to note, though, that he says, although at this stage we are not taking any further action, we will keep the concerns raised on file. This will help us over time to build up a picture of the Council's information rights practices. So clearly, they do want to keep an eye on the situation.
Yes, and we need to be vigilant and ensure that we adhere to the laws and regulations that we do. Okay, move on to 6.3 with resident redevelopment in the village. We do have an agenda items further on about the proposed future developments in the village. Unless anybody wants to take that particular one. We're happy to move on. Yeah. 7, to receive any further correspondence and to take action as appropriate.
The only other correspondence, Chairman, was from the resident seeking to make himself available for co-option, and I held that back pending any other, so that it didn't. It was a fairer system, I felt, to hold them all back, but as it was the only one, I circulated that on Sunday with your papers. So that was the only other item.
Okay, thank you. Excuse me. To 08, to note the clerk's report. We've got a copy of the report in the grey paper. Again, open to the floor for comment. Anything on there, Peter, that you wish to emphasise? Well, happy to move on?
Yeah.
Number 9, to note planning results as notified by Mid-Suffolk District Council. We've just got one here, which is the erection of the 2-storey side rear extension to Tara Old House, and that was granted. So we'll move swiftly on to number 10, to discuss planning applications as notified by the Mid-Suffolk District Council. Peter, hand over to you, please, with your new machine.
With the new machine.
I
think that. Okay. The site is, older councillors will remember that this is Ashfield Road here, here's the entrance. This is the parent cottage, and this was a shed, a derelict shed, which we used for a lot of years for storing the autumn fair kit for a long time. And there was an application in 2012 for this to be turned into a dwelling. The parish council at that time objected because it was a substantial dwelling. It was very high and there were fears that it would overlook. Orchard Cottage, this little chappie here, is in a dip. It's a much older dwelling than many of the others along here, and everything has grown up around it. And it was felt by councillors that this would have an adverse effect on Orchard Cottage, and Mid Suffolk made note of that. Councillors objected to the proposal when it was built, on the ground that it would have an overbearing and seriously detrimental effect on both Willow Cottage and the adjacent bungalow Beresford Drive. It is clearly a two-storey dwelling with the second storey tucked into the roof space, and the resulting height and mass inevitably suggests a crowded result on the site. Now, I quote that because I think it's relevant to what you will be looking at today. Mid Suffolk, meanwhile, did grant permission, but no opening shall be inserted in the southeast elevation of the roof structure facing Willow Cottage of the dwelling hereby permitted, except pursuant to the grant of planning permission. They were very aware that this elevation here, which has no fenestration, no windows in it at all, they didn't want any windows in that because it would be overlooking Willow Cottage. The application that you are looking at today is that this block plan here becomes, this is where the technology gets really exciting, at least we can see it. Well, yeah, you can see it, but it's not there, is it?
No.
No, it isn't there.
We could see it.
The proposed block plan is this one. Okay. Proposed block plan. That's the one we just looked at. No, it's not showing anything.
The only thing I would suggest is sometimes you'll need to just re-log in because you can get timed out on this particular website.
Okay. So,
But I'm no expert.
it isn't,
Yeah, come right out and
Yeah.
re-log in.
okay. That's what we'll do.
Focus.
Yeah, that's what we'll do. You're quite right, it's a funny, it decided that we would try and work from the website, and
Somebody switched it off.
While you're working with it, it will stay with you, but if you leave it dormant for a while, it just drops out.
here we go. So, get rid of that, come on to that, and then come back to that, and then do that, and then that, and then that. In theory,
Now we should be
we
live.
have document 9, and we're looking for the proposed block plan which shows, unless I'm horribly mistaken, the staircase in situ as it was intended.
Very pretty step.
There we go.
There we go.
So here's the same block plan, but they put a staircase in here. Now it will become evident when you see later slides. In fact, the staircase is coming this way, and the you actually, it looks as though you're approaching the stairs from here. So you climb up the stairs there, there's a platform here, and you go in there. The existing elevations show us the following thing. I need new glasses as well. There we go. So this is as it is now. This is the bit that the cottage looks at. This is the bit that faces Beresford Cottage. So you can see that you've got this double garage doors. This upstairs was originally mooted as a strange gallery arrangement with one bedroom, a study area, and an open area down this end. Not quite sure what has come of that now, but that is what there is. You can see it doesn't come all the way to the edge. It's an eaves development. And what they're proposing is that a staircase is put up. Now again, the staircase is in the wrong place. It doesn't come up here there, it comes along here and round the corner. Now, the way we know that is that if we then go to what the neighbours want to talk about, which is, this one does take a couple of seconds to load out. Or longer.
So at the moment, there's nothing above the garage at all.
No, there's a bedroom, etc. Right, this is from Willow Cottage. We object to the above reference application as it causes a high level of overlooking into not only our back garden but also our internal living rooms and the bathroom. The structure is out of keeping with the character appearance of the barn structure conversion. The structure has a detrimental effect on the local street scene due to its ugly form and design. This type of staircase is more suited to a commercial unit, not a house. Please see attached photos. So here you'll see it's coming round the corner here, and this is their back gate. I've got some of the photos which I took, which means that this, if you stand on there, you're looking into their bathroom. That's the view from their bathroom. This is the view from one bedroom, and this is the view from another bedroom. So it could be argued, not sure where that's right, this is another bedroom. It could be argued that that might constitute the sort of overlooking that the planners didn't want in the first place. If we then look at photographs that I've taken.
So have had permission to put the staircase up?
No.
It's at the wrong place.
No, this is a retrospective application. So here's the double garage doors underneath. Here's the platform. Here's the staircase. And this is where the door is intended to go. And I think if I do that, yep. This is as you walk up towards it from the railway station, up the pavement, there's a parking area here, and over the fence you see that, and this return coming here, looking into the windows of the cottage there. And I think there's one more. No, actually look. There's been another neighbour comment. Since we've not received a letter, I have decided to address my thoughts to the Parish Council in order that you can bring them to the attention of the Planning Committee when reached to discuss. The application seems to say that the proposed staircase is not visible from the road, footpath, etc. It is most certainly visible from Ashfield Road, between Roper's Garden and Blacksmith's Way, at the very least. It already towers above Willow Cottage and, if allowed, will presumably have an excellent view straight into their garden. It would be interesting to know why the applicants want or need a new entrance upstairs. Are they thinking of splitting the house into two houses? Are they going to use it as a separate office for business purposes? I see no mention of more windows, and yet there are very few on that floor at present. Because the building seems to be much higher than nearby properties, any more windows are likely to prove intrusive to nearby residents. I hope that you can address these comments when the case is discussed. So that is it.
So on the original application, what have they put useful?
On the original application, the application plan is application form.
And it looks more like a fire exit.
Application form says the work has begun, and they've spoken to a planning officer, and it is for, somebody tell me? Well, there we go. No, it isn't. No. If we perhaps have a look at the design and access statement instead. DNA, which I think I circulated to councillors, says new access stairs. The proposal is to construct a steel stairway to give access to the first floor above the garage to give easy access. The stairs will be of a traditional barn style and will be painted black. The stairs has been kept to the minimum size to reduce impact, and I think there was another relevant paragraph. Careful consideration has been given to the design and choice of materials for the construction of the stairs, reflecting the building and the setting. The site is suitable for the construction. So that is, and this is their photographs. Much what that shows. There's the garage doors, and there's the platform, and the stairs going down behind the building.
So at the moment, there's no first floor. No.
There's a first floor access from inside with a bedroom and
Oh, yeah.
a study.
So this is a retrospective application,
This is retrospective. This is already here.
and that says stairway to be removed. Is that relevant?
Don't know what that means. Part of the DNA, don't know what it means. Whether this was in response to the planners who
Yeah.
pursued them, I don't know.
And you said the original comments from Mid Suffolk about overlooking. Could you read that part out again, please?
No opening shall be inserted in the south-east elevation of the roof structure facing Willow Cottage of the dwelling hereby permitted, except pursuant to the grant of planning permission on an application made in that behalf. So this is the standard removal of permitted development rights when there is a fear that extra fenestration, extra windows will cause overlook.
So we haven't got windows, but we've got
A viewing
a
of that
viewing.
film.
Which is probably worse than windows.
I mean, it's really quite outrageous. They've put the thing up and obviously been brought up short by the planners, and they're now trying to get retrospective permission for most of the work has already been done without getting permission, which is contrary to the points that were made when the original planning application was put in, and indeed was granted despite our objections to it. I remember the thing coming to the council, and I mean, in my opinion, there is no way that we can allow that to be put in place. They should be made to take it down. It's in direct contravention of what was agreed when the original planning was given. You know, I mean, I think there's a real trial.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, general agreement?
Yes.
So an agreement that we would not support that.
And I think we should make strong representations
Yeah.
and make strong representations about people trying to contravene and do it without getting permission. I mean, they won't even let you change the tiles on your roof without getting permission, let alone put up construction like that.
Especially when you've got the restriction or the permitted rights, so removal of permitted rights. So, okay, we reject that one, or we not support it. Peter, on to the next one.
Next one is Norwood. Now this has a history too. In 2012, as the applicant has already stated, there was a proposal for a wholesale addition front and back, which was objected to by the Parish Council and refused by Mid Suffolk. There has since been partial development along those lines at the front, and this is an application for a reduced version of what was originally routed at the back to complete the plan. Location plan, I have to say, if ever we have to award a prize for the best design and access statement of the year, this one would win it. It's brilliant, obviously they all do it. This is the building. You can see it's a sizable plot. There were objections in the previous application because of the cart lodge, which is now here, and because a couple, possibly only one of these neighbours objected to an overcrowded result. But you can see the size, and when we look at the actual measurements, you'll see that in fact it could be argued that there's no overcrowding on there. So the existing topographical plan seems to be the best thing I can point you towards. If we could find it, plot plan 24.
looked at the location plan.
Let me just, instead of that, come to this, because what I've done is I've taken the, open this, I've taken the two topographical plans and, in theory, we can open them side by side. Open with, here we go. Sorry, pick. Try one more time. It's a new machine, it's very fast, but it's a bit confusing. There we go.
Okay, so you did.
There we go. See? Get rid of that. So what you've got topographically, and these actually do appear as part of the application. I've just extracted them and put them side by side. So what you can see now from your helicopter is this. What is proposed is this. I'm not quite sure why, but in the blue I thought would show the whole of the footprint of the existing, but it doesn't. The footprint of the existing is the blue and this bit here. And what is being added on is this, to replace a store, wood store, general store, which is fairly derelict there. And I think we can look at bigger ones of those with so that's what you're looking at in terms of the footprint. And I think it is not unfair to point out that even with the extension, which does not go beyond the original derelict, semi-derelict building, it's still a fair distance. There's also mentioned in the DNA that this lorry body storage unit will go. So if we try again, no, I can't work out why that isn't. I'm going to go out again and come in again. No, that's me. Right, we'll start again. Sorry. It did work in practice, honestly.
I've made in on mine.
So we look at the elevations, and you will see existing floor plan. As it is, what you have, and you've seen the footprint, so you have a conservatory, office reception, kitchen, etc., downstairs and upstairs. You have got your the outside decking, bedroom 1, bedroom 2, bedroom 3, etc. What is proposed is, well, there's a bit. Sorry. For some reason, it will not go back to where we want it to be. proposed floor plan, however, gives you the extra facilities here. The kitchen is moved, there's a lounge, living room, bedroom 4 has now been created. One of the issues that was mentioned in the last iteration was this feature here, which was described initially as an atrium, and you'll see if we can get back to the elevation.
If you click on the bar, get the mid-Suffolk bar, rather than clicking on your...
Click on the what?
On the mid-Suffolk gov bar.
There.
That one, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no, sorry. No, different. No, sorry.
It was working.
Yeah, go down, click on the arrow.
Yeah, the arrow, that arrow, because it's off your screen, so if you moved your sheet slightly,
Yeah, but well, I don't think it'd be off
Will it
the
not?
screen. I don't think so.
What's off the screen?
the arrow.
What Liz was saying, the arrow was off this
Top
screen.
left-hand corner.
I think if you just nudge that.
Not that one. Not that
No.
arrow.
That's the one they're talking
I don't know.
about, whether it does it.
Down one.
I don't know if it'll work, but
It's the back arrow.
Down, down.
down.
Ah,
Can you see the
That was it.
forward arrow?
That's it, we got it.
Okay.
but it isn't the whole thing.
No.
In fact, it's the wrong one.
Your new windows along the right, on the
Yeah.
other side of the screen, other end of your tabs.
What? Round here?
No, not that far.
There?
Next one along.
That one?
No, next one.
That
That is
one?
that one. Try that one. It goes back to there.
Things could be worse. I'm going to try and find the elevations.
At least we know the planning.
Yeah, you know how to get around the plan this time.
At least we can see the data.
Yes.
You
I
see
think
the
it's
last one.
elevations, existing and proposed elevations. So from the front, you'll see that, and there's very little difference. From the back, you see a considerable difference. You've seen the distance that is from, and then it would be very nice.
Has it already got that little, what do you call it really?
What, veranda here?
Is that already on there now?
Yeah, that's there, existing, current and existing. See, that is the list of the last one. So where's the list of this one? There. Now, nobody spotted that.
I was trying to get to.
Thank you.
There somewhere.
When he started writing, it was chalk and blackboards,
Yeah, absolutely.
slate.
So there's the east elevation. And if we are, where did we go? Yeah.
Too
Close
far.
it.
Too far.
The south elevation, no, we've had that one.
You need to close on them now, really.
I think you do. I think
It's
you do.
only open.
So, how do we do that? Just click,
The X.
Yeah.
click on that,
Don't click the ones in there.
click on that. And then they should, ah,
There you go.
Yes.
there you go. So the last elevation that we're looking at is, we've had east, we've had west,
You need width.
we need west. So this is the atrium that specifically caused council's concern last time.
Why?
It comes because of the possibility of overlooking. But again, if you go back to the block plans, you will see that there's quite a distance there. Make sure
What's the tree preservation bit?
tree preservation report says
Sorry,
the mulberry tree, initial survey, having spoken with the tree and landscape officer, the tree is in reasonable health, but the main stem forks are two primary stems, etc. The proposal is, and as a plan, the canopy is beyond the extent of the extension, and It is proposed that the extension will be beyond the calculated RPA, which of course has just been explained here, and zone of influence, and will therefore have limited impact on the multi-tree. The suggestion is, before any material or machinery is delivered on site, the tree and the adjacent beach should be protected, etc., which is a fairly standard
But
procedure.
that's 2012, so has that happened?
But I'm sure the relevance is, I think it remains relevant.
Took a
It's easy
detour
to
there, we
protect.
went on to trees, and we're just looking at the...
Yeah, sorry, that was on,
Yeah, as I say, yeah.
So what do you want to go back to?
Go back to the atrium, the view by over the
Which was the west, I think, wasn't it? No, we were going to look at
You're
the
going to look at the block plan,
block to
to
see.
see how far it overlooks.
Okay. So here's the proposed topographic. This is the atrium element, and here's the adjacent dwelling. 12.03 metres, 30 odd feet.
Well, over 3 metres to the boundary, then you've got another distance.
Yes, plus 1.39, yeah. So you've got 13 metres, 14 metres there.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of tree planting along that western boundary as well, I think. I don't know how mature the trees are now, but there has been a lot of tree planting in the last few years.
So that, hardly in a nutshell, is about it.
Can you go down a bit, because on one plan to the other one, there was some, what is the black? Is that a garage? No, what is it?
Where? Here.
Go down, no,
Keep going down.
yeah,
Well, we're in the road.
yeah. No, up then, yeah, there.
You mean the
Yeah.
rectangle?
Yeah. What is that?
Oh,
No.
these
No,
are...
no, up,
That?
over
Oh,
there.
square.
That's the car lodge.
That's beside.
Okay.
That's the car lodge, which...
Because in that picture at the back, you haven't, there's two, on the other picture, there's two black little square, if that represents little buildings. Are they
Here?
black? No, actually within the plot. On
Yeah.
that picture they're gone, but on the other picture they're on there.
It's there,
Very,
isn't
very
it?
blue, not there.
It's there.
What?
Sort of in blue. Can you see?
You mean this one and this one?
No, no, no. If you go back to the pictures two side by side,
Oh,
there's
yeah.
two black. I don't know how big they are because you can't tell.
Well, let's see if we can find that.
There you go, look, on the top.
These?
No,
No. Here?
Yeah.
Ah, right.
but they're gone on the new one.
Yep. So they are there now, and they won't be there.
What are they?
Shed.
I would imagine they're sheds.
No, just raised beds.
Sorry,
Right.
grade
You
beds.
can't tell, can you?
That's all,
What?
it actually sort of says there on the,
Oh, can't. Okay.
it's too far in the detail.
If it had been in black, you'd think it was like.
Read that.
I
There was
think we've seen enough, and
It's taken long, you know.
yeah, but no, we're mastering the technology.
This is the car lodge anyway.
That's
That's the car lodge.
That's the
And those are the
container
trees, that you can see the
Here's the
trees are
trees.
growing up quite well.
box. Just to the right, there's that container.
So has there been anything from neighbours?
Nothing.
I don't think it's a bad development for quite a large plot.
I think it's a large drop, and I think
I can't make
it's
any comment
difficult
on the
to
design.
criticise the development.
Can't make any comment on the design as such.
No.
It's vernacular.
I think there are too many daffodils in the garden.
Oh, right.
No,
Tell what they
unless
want.
anybody's got any serious doubts or
I
questions.
can't see a problem.
I can't see a problem. So are we all happy to support it?
Yeah.
Support? Yeah, okay. So, number 3.
Got them.
Or 10, I should say.
Right, so we're now on to 328216, which we should have had here and it isn't on there. We'll find it. It's because we've missed out the,
A slash.
yeah, we have. get you forward
Yeah.
slightly.
I think I've got to go back down. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, there it is.
Now, we'll go through. Now this is a strange one because it's the best bet you've got is to look at the application form as to what it is, and what it is this little chap here. You've got the rear garden of Grange Meadows there with these trees in it. They're all sycamores, and they're hanging over the garden at number 11. I can show you the site location plan. And see the sketch below. T1 to T8 are all sycamores. This application is to trim back branches overhanging in my garden to give 4-metre ground clearance. All work will be carried out from my property, i.e. ladders will be footed my side of the fence. Work to be undertaken by Jarvis Tree Services. Fantastic. And we've got, I can show you a location map, I think. I can show you a location map by saying local with. And all we have to do is to get rid of that. We've had this for 2 days, this machine. Should we send it back?
No, no.
Get them back.
Couple of years ago.
You see what it is yet?
Yeah, it's one of those fossils, isn't it? Very good.
So here we have the railway, and here's Crown Mill, here's the Grange, and here's number 11, Crabtree. So this is Crabtree Meadow around here. Number 11 is there, so the trees are there. But they're growing on this land and they're overhanging that garden. Nothing from our tree officer.
Nothing in terms of he's no commented or we haven't seen it. or-
I've asked him and nothing's come back.
And they've got TPOs on.
They're all TPO'd, yeah, otherwise there wouldn't be an application.
My argument is that surely the trees were there before they moved in, so they knew what they were moving into.
They weren't that big, but
Well, trees grow.
Trees are already in woods, but hanging in back gardens.
I'm not sure why it's a different colour. It is part of the Grange land.
Okay.
They did send me, this came to me last year, I think, and they sent me a copy of their title, the Grange did, to prove it was theirs, but said they didn't want anything to do with it. So the householders take it upon themselves.
Sorry, did I hear the tree officer has made no comment?
It's, no comment has come back, but
Oh, right, that
it
doesn't-
isn't a no comment.
But we do know that he received
Oh,
that
yes.
he's been approached. Yeah.
I hear against it then, if you
No,
don't
I
come.
wouldn't think so.
So are they planning just cutting everything flush with a boundary?
no.
No.
they're going-
They're getting a crown reduced to a height of 4 metres, 12 feet. Twice as high as
Doesn't
you.
have any
If
side.
I was mine, I'd do another couple when I gather.
Just the bottom branches.
Yeah, I was having a tree problem myself that nobody owns up to. I support it.
I
80 foot conifer that nobody owns.
I mean, sycamore trees are a real pain.
It's coming down.
They're a weed, really.
I'll be back in another couple for a year
Yeah,
anyway.
that's right.
I don't think we can have any problems with it.
No.
Experience to that tree, so.
Wayne's a good tree surgeon.
Oh, absolutely, yes, yeah,
If you can afford him.
yeah. Yes, exactly, yeah.
So are we
So
supporting?
I was going to say, are we going to support this?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not? Okay, so 4 support, against? Okay. So that should-
You're a tree hugger, would you?
Okay, did you get that? Yep.
We'll find a change of the trees at about.
Okay, so if we can go on to agenda item number 11, a proposal by myself that the Elmswell Parish Council makes known to the professional lead officer of planning services at Mid-Suffolk District Council its comments on the above planning application. Could I have a second for that, please? Dick, thank you. Vote for. No against, I couldn't see all the hands now. No. Okay. I'm managing to keep ahead of my keep on track. 12. Any other planning committee business or information to be noted or for inclusion on a future agenda?
Yes, several, Chairman. I was approached by Councillor Jane Story, along with various other persons, asking if we might support an initiative which she has begun to try to arrange for liaison between the villages of Woolpit, Thurston and Elmswell, what she's calling the A14 corridor villages, with senior planners to discuss joint objectives and outcomes, particularly with regard to SIL and Section 106. In other words, where that money goes when it is realised. And a meeting was mooted between the chairmen and clerks of those councils and various senior planning officers, and that meeting is now fixed for 31st, and you can make it.
Okay. Currently, yes.
Currently. We've had an application 302116 at Orchard Cottage in New Road with the deadline of the 1st of the 9th. I haven't conferred with the chairman on this, and I can't confer with the vice chairman either, because he's away, because the chairman has clearly declared a previous interest in this matter.
It's next door to me.
It's next door to him. And so I am going to call a planning meeting almost certainly for Wednesday the 31st of August. So that's just prior notification of that. I did circulate to you a document seeking your views, seeking our views, on the proposals for the radio mast. And I've had a chat with a couple of councillors, and they've raised one salient. So there it is, you all had a copy, that's not as interesting as that. So what we're talking about is the industrial estate here, and you've got the bacon factory development here, you've got Bob Barter's old unit there, you've got the fragrance people here, and there's a green space here where they're proposing to put up a mast. That's a picture of it. There's already one there and two on the other side of the road. And that's what they want to put up. What I did was I took a picture from an adjacent office window, which is mine. So you can see they want to put one over here. There's a big one here, a smaller one here, and this is a street light. And they've given you the relative heights in your report. So that is coming forward. Now, what was suggested to me was that the problem might be, why does this?
Can I? Just change it in your settings. And you can
Come on.
Sorry?
If you just go down to your little window down the bottom there,
Yeah.
on the left, right at the bottom of the screen there.
There?
Okay, if you want to open these all with the same, like Adobe,
Yeah.
you want to do that? You just copy it.
Excellent.
Do you want to try?
Just go to settings.
We have.
Because you support it.
Yeah, you would have.
We're looking for some councillors.
Expenses before.
We'll,
£840 an hour.
I think we volunteer you tonight.
Steve Tanger.
Not you. You're a spring chicken compared to me. Just make it.
I've got a face.
Big pile from there.
And my little windows
Just so you get the tree from there.
Yeah. You want to go in there, let's go there. All these are harder.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Excellent, man.
Okay, so do the next paragraph.
It's what they
Just
do all
imagine
night
what we'd done if
long.
we turned down his planning permission.
You'll get your plan.
At least I can do, thank you very much. Right, the problem is, as a couple of councillors have pointed out, that what they have on their plan as a derelict site is going to be houses. And number 30 in this corner is going to be fairly close to a lot of these masts. And there's a suggestion that another one here will not, another one down here is number 30 here, might be something that we bring to the attention of the developer, Telefonica, before they take it any further, so that at least they address it in their application.
Well, isn't there a potential health risk from these masts?
There is.
People, I've had approaches from people who thought this was going to happen in the telephone exchange, and if you look in your the consultation document there, they did assess the telephone exchange, so they wouldn't do it there. So I did have somebody concerned in Little Green, I think, about that, because they were right next to it. So it is an issue which it is suggested that we bring it to their attention so they address it in their application.
Absolutely.
Because, as I understand it, as a utility, they have a right to put it more or less where they like.
No, they're not statutory undertakers. They have to have planning permission. But at least they've asked us about it first, to take some of the
Well, who would they be paying? Who would they be paying rent to for putting it up?
I think there's probably a one-off way leave to Mid-Suffolk. It's a Mid-Suffolk,
So Mid-Suffolk would be making money out of this.
No.
to some extent, possibly.
They do pay quite generously.
Very good.
Leslie, you want to say something?
Just, yeah, I think we should, because it's actually going to be much closer to residential housing than a lot of the sites they've already rejected in this list. So I think we should. And presumably it's in addition to the two marks which are already there.
Yes.
It's not instead of, it's in.
I think it's in
So
addition.
visually it's going to be pretty grim as well.
But again, I take the point, I think all we can do is point it out to the operators.
And then when
make
it
them aware.
comes forward, if it is there, we need to, well, I would say.
I mean, one
Yeah.
could possibly think that they may not realise that there is going to be a residential development on that site.
If you look on your plan, they do make a note of that, but they won't know. I would imagine they haven't seen this indicative layout that we've got from Taylor Wimpey, showing that the house is right up to that. There's a pavement. There's going to be a pavement there.
Or I might be trying to get it in before.
I wouldn't possibly suggest that.
Okay, so our action is that we just make it known to.
So comment to them saying, please be aware of.
Is there any way we can stop it before it goes up?
Well, it'll come for a planning application. You'll have a chance then to make your objections, if they stand.
Because Taylor Woodrow might want to make an objection, mightn't they? If they think it's going to reduce the value of the properties they're building next to it, won't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Sorry
think
about
they've
that.
contacted any adjacent landowners. They haven't contacted me. I'll have a word and see whether they have.
But they will do and should do in the planning application, won't
They will in the planning application, yeah. And finally, I did meet, along with all our ward members and the chairman, with our MP, Joe Churchill, was it? I think it was a political name, on Thursday last. This was an incredibly short notice. She did 42 villages in 5 days, I think, and we had, I initially heard about it 10 days before, and she said, where's a good place in the middle to meet people? And one of their meetings apparently took place in a bus shelter, so the library was good. We had half a dozen villagers came along, and she was very well aware of the issues that they raised, and she was expecting them because she's just had it at Thurston and Woolpit, etc., which is obviously the pressure of development from speculative developers. So that happened. We did give her a letter from the Neighbourhood Plan Group, drawing her attention to the editorial in the newsletter, which had laid down what was happening and why, and asking her if she could use her good offices to bring together, one at a time all at once, the head honchos of education, health, roads and sewage, which are the 4 big areas of concern, so that they could tell the village what they think the village can stand by way of existing infrastructure. So she took that very seriously on board and has gone away with it. That's it, Chairman.
Thank you. Okay, so we move on to agenda item 13, to note the current position with regard to the purchase of Wesley facilities and to take as appropriate.
No action, I'm afraid. Yes, I was hoping there'd been developments. We applied, the application for loan sanction went in the day after Council approved it at the July meeting. And we've had confirmation that everything is okay. Once we've got that, approaching the Public Works Loan Board is a formality. But at the later stage, I made an inquiry in the hope that we'd have some news for this meeting. The person who would normally have, this is an email, who would normally have signed off the approval letter has been on leave and is back next week. So I'll have the signed letter with yourselves next week, but remind me if you haven't heard from by Wednesday. There's a possibility we'll have it by Wednesday.
Fair to say though, the legal representatives of both sides are still working now.
Oh yeah.
Working now.
Yeah, both. We're in touch with both sets of lawyers. They're all instructed, and we're just awaiting a draft contract.
Okay, go on to 14, to discuss the situation regarding the rent paid to council by the tenant at the railway station building and to take action as necessary. Peter, you're the historian on this, aren't you?
It's the history. You councillors may be aware that we have a rent of £270-ish every month from Travel Stop. We pay a ground rent of £90 a year to Network Rail, but we are obliged to pay them 1/3 of the £270. We stopped paying that some years back because they had blocked the drains and we couldn't use the toilet. And we haven't started paying again. We are ready to start paying again because all of that is now resolved. Before we start paying again, we have to make sure that the rent level is appropriate. The rent level was up for review, and we have confirmation from our agent that the rent level should stay the same, and we have a suggestion from our solicitor that we write to the tenant, explain we've reviewed the position regarding the current level and under the circumstances have chosen not to increase the rent. If we do that, we are then in a position to start negotiating the money that we owe to Network Rail, which is held separately. You'll see it in the annual accounts. We haven't spent that money, we've still got it. But because of the statute of limitations, we don't need to pay it all back, and we have spent some time and money resolving the drainage situation. The first step in getting over all of that is to decide that the rent is okay as it is. So that's what I intend to do, unless anybody's got any problems with it. It is the legal advice based on our surveyor's advice.
And our payment to Network Rail has remained the same.
What we pay them 1/3 of 270. You can work it out.
Yeah, but there was I thought there was a
90.
ground rent, £90.
Yeah, there is. Oh, sorry, that's separate. We've been paying that.
All right.
The ground rent we've been paying. This rent we stopped paying, hoping that it would make them mend the
The
drains.
ground rent has stayed the same.
Yeah, oh, that stays the same. Unfortunately, by stopping paying, they didn't seem to notice. They still haven't asked for the money, but I'm afraid we must pay.
I'm surprised that it's remained so low because it's been very, very low for very many years. I don't think it's gone up for years. When did it last go up?
I don't know. I have to rely on our professional advisors.
I'm just surprised that is such a low rent.
But is that not good?
Well, why is it good?
Why is it good? Why is it bad? I'm just asking why you're questioning it, I think. Leslie, why are you questioning
Well, I'm just surprised that commercial rent is that low. Can I have a copy of that report, please, Peter? Mr. Bailey? Thanks.
I personally feel it's better to have somebody in there getting
Mhm.
something than have
Mhm.
another small business go under.
It is only the old waiting rooms or ticket
Yeah.
office, or there's nothing special.
If you put it up, you may risk losing it and then you end up
Aren't
with
we,
You could not swing a cat.
no.
isn't there some thought that they might want to use the other piece, which at the current time has railed off, and then there might be an opportunity to increase
Yeah.
rent?
I think that's a second string to this particular bow, in that once we've settled this and we're on an even keel with Network Rail, we can start talking about them expanding into the old waiting room.
Well, might I suggest that might be a better juncture to talk to them about putting the rent up?
I'm sure at that stage the rent would go up, but at the moment I'm sticking by what the professionals tell me. I happen to know, because I am involved with commercial rents, that the one I've been looking at has not budged since 2011 on another property in the village. So
I
they
think
just haven't
that's-
been moving.
I think the last time, if I remember, was somewhere around 2006, 2007, that we had it surveyed, and it didn't go up that time either. So we're talking about a lot of years. I'm really surprised.
But again, we'll take advice from a professional. That's what we have them for.
Mm.
Well, I would concur that commercial rents have plateaued, and Brexit has affected them adversely.
Okay, so thanks for that, Peter, an update. We move on to 15, to approve reimbursement to the clerk for expenditures within the budget, and the attachment that we've got on the back of the clerk's report.
Yes, you agreed that we'd spend up to £5,000 on the new PA system. I got on with that, but of course, modern technology being what it is, you do that online, you pay by card, and normally I'll reclaim that every month. But as it's 2 months, and it comes to £5,492, I thought I'd ask you could have it now, really. So, it is, you've seen the schedule.
Are we happy with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Though we shall be able to reclaim some of that on the VAT, won't we?
Oh, yes. Yes, 3492, there's yeah, considerable amount, £1,000 I think.
Yeah.
Okay. 16, to note the latest position regarding the proposed Norfolk and Suffolk devolution proposal and to take action as appropriate. Have you taken any action?
Well, I've been to 2 seminars recently, and I'm sure the Councillor Mrs Mansell will advise as well. And without taking councillors through the whole shebang, we have to take, I suggest, a broad brush approach. Devolution is almost inevitably going to happen. Are you nodding, Sarah? It's almost inevitably going to happen. Simply because so many of the potential members have agreed and thrown their hat in the ring. There are only 4 district councils in Norfolk who've decided not to do that. And when I asked why that was, the reasoning is largely party political rather than logical. Now what it means is that come May of next year there will be an election for somebody who at the moment is called a mayor, but the name might change, and that mayor will have responsibility for organising all the heads of the local councils in Norfolk and Suffolk, apart from the 4 who don't want to do it, and have responsibility for a lot of devolved budget that comes from the government. And the amounts of money are considerable. And the difference is that we make those decisions, or rather the devolved power makes those decisions, rather than the government. So £25 million per year for the next 30 years will be given to the devolved power. In the first 5 years, we get another 130 million for housing, 225 million for transport, and 20 million for adult skills. And that is money which, although some of it was destined to be spent in those ways anyway, will be spent at the discretion of and at the direction of the local people rather than Parliament. The mayor is a sticking point with a lot of the people who have been involved in the discussions, and the mayor has only one vote. It isn't a Boris where he comes in and says, this is what we're going to do, and everybody has to hang on to his coattails. This is, in effect, a coordinator of the heads of these councils who says, this is what we think the money should go on within Norfolk and Suffolk. It strikes me, and I've asked various specific questions in this regard, and it seems to be the case, that the only way we are going to get highways money for infrastructure, for example, a relief road, would be through these devolved powers, because we have very little chance of becoming a local enterprise partnership in our little neck of the woods. There is the possibility, there is a chance that we can comment and support the move to devolution. Individually, you're invited to consult, and I've circulated all of those details, and it would be my suggestion that this council supports devolution. But I've got to leave it there. There's no, I'm afraid there isn't time for a full debate. The whole thing has been thrust on us at an enormous rate of knots, which makes a lot of people suspicious, including me, but it is what it is, and I would suggest that we support it.
That's not a question. My concern is that if it's more local, you get somebody making a decision, will they be neutral, or would they say, well, we don't want that money to go to us, we'll spend so many years on a relief road, we can spend it here. Where Central are quite...
Perhaps Alabama has 4 million for a bridge over the railway, for a road over the railway. You reckon? Don't think so.
Well, they may take the view that it's their neck of the woods and you know, they want to do the best for their area. I mean, it's worked in Scotland, it's worked in limited amount ways in Wales. It's certainly worked in Scotland.
But would somebody who makes a decision who lives in Bury be worried about us having a relief road in Elmswell?
Well, more worried than Theresa May might be in
There.
I think they're questions that...
we can't develop it down to Elmswell Parish Council, can we?
No, I'm just saying...
How many you had a crystal ball? Up in the tree.
If only like my 9-year-old grandson, 8-year-old grandson said to me only at the weekend, Granddad, why can't we look into the future?
We can. You look back at history and then you look into the future.
But we don't know, I think, is the answer.
I mean, the problem is that when you bring these powers down to too low a level, it all becomes very parochial, and you get less and less oversight of the bigger picture. And I'm not altogether sure that this is a good idea, because you could finish up the situation with the motorway finishing at Dis, and the Suffolk people saying, well, we don't want it. The whole thing to me is a bit of a nonsense. Some things like transport really need to be run at the very least on a regional basis, and probably to any chance I would work at all needs to be on a national basis.
Okay, will we move on?
I take it then that we, without consensus support, we just leave it alone.
I don't see what we can do. I don't see what we can do.
I don't think we can affect it one way or the other.
I think we're bystanders in that.
Okay.
17, to invite invitation to the public, comment on matters relevant to council business.
Well, good evening, and thank you very much for the report. My name is the same second. I attended the discussion very last Thursday. Very nice to meet, very pretty well exciting report. That was very much came out of that meeting was still a little confusion about the flow of information from the council to the electorate.
Can I just ask who you are?
You could. I live in the electorate, actual unit.
That's what I want, yeah.
So I live on
Okay.
So I attended a consultation by Pegasus a number of weeks ago, and during those discussions with Pegasus, they confirmed that they had, for discussions or listings, everyone in one word, with you as a council since February, a minimum of 4 times. Okay. So I take that, and then I've spoken with 2 members of the council since. Okay? One member of the council has confirmed that there was listings, first council you were listening, and another member of the council said do not go with discussions. And I can find this information in your minutes. I decided on a really boring train ride this morning, luckily for me, so I went through your minutes in finite detail from the start of the year. Not one mention of discussion with developers. You only mentioned one thing, and that was during the meeting of Monday the 27th of June, and at the time in 16:06:23. And if you want to just bear with me, I'll read it to you. An oral report from the clerk confirmed that as a paragraph 6 of this report tables Appendix A, which I do not have access to, any pre-application meeting held in request of speculative developers or their agents are subject to council's pre-application protocol, copies of which are issued to all attending. Okay. So, I have a question. Several questions. Where do I get a copy of the pre-application protocol? Do I have access to that?
Yes.
2, do I have access to the appendices, because that's information according to the local government transparency code 2014 I should have access to. And 3, and most importantly, $1 million question, did you or did you not have a form of conversation with any developer of Texas or for development in or around Elmswell for the futures? Yes or no? So, first question. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So, thank you for the right answer. Very much appreciate it.
Well, yeah, we've had that.
Well,
We haven't had 4. But Peter, can you just confirm? We haven't. I can't keep the
I think we've had 1 each.
I think we've had 2. But the number up.
Okay. The numbers are arbitrary.
Yeah, we've had, at their requests, they make a request to come to see us. It's right and proper that we say yes, because we're there to listen and learn. There's no actions, there's no decisions taken whatsoever, because it's a preempt to when they then put their formal presentation to the public. And quite often when they come, they haven't finalised that.
That's a fair answer, and so but
why
why don't you not put that in your minutes somewhere that you've had those discussions? You don't have to disclose the detail of those discussions. You've had conversations with developers. That's all you need. Otherwise, you've invited appendices, which will answer in a minute, that I don't see. And I'm not making an accusation. Okay, I'm just saying as a layperson may. It's smoke and mirrors. You're not getting full, fair disclosure from our elected body. You work for us, and very well, you know.
We serve you, we don't work for you, because we're all volunteers. Just picking up on
Serve
that.
work.
Well, it's quite important. We're all volunteers sitting around this table, serving people of Elmswell. But yes, if it's a point that's not in the minutes, then we will ensure we will always minute. There'll be, if there's anything to report, we'll report it. But to date, there's been nothing more to report other than what's gone in the newsletters. Let's just finish this.
Well, I follow this on. I was also at this meeting, Jerry Churchill on Thursday, and I know that the village needs extra houses, this particular, nothing's been discussed, as you said, but at the moment, this is a big, big, big thing for the village.
It's massive.
It's massive. This village cannot take this, what they're trying to push in at the moment. And the parish council, well, the people electorate of Elmswell know what's going on. Because the people of Elmswell are not very happy about it. There might be not many here.
They do know what's going on.
But if you listen to
They do know what's going on.
Have a go, Dick.
Sorry, but if
You might know, Dick, we don't.
If you listen to Jo Churchill, she clearly said there is nothing going on until a planning application is made. That was her words, not mine.
She's also a member of Parliament who will listen to us and give us loads of spiel back.
Well,
You know yourself,
but it's fact. It is a fact. There are no applications in other than the Babel factory, which
what we're
is
trying to say is, we, as villagers, need to know what's going on.
You will need to know as soon as we know what's going on.
There is an awful lot that goes on before any planning application is made. And it has been known before that you have secret meetings, which you do not disclose.
Generally, the two meetings that I can recall, we've had our councillors there as well. So, John, where's John?
I'm not trying to suggest that
There are no secret meetings.
All I'm trying to say is that we know now, by confirmation and fact, that you've had conversations with developers. Okay? It's only right and appropriate, in my opinion, that you pass that on to the people you serve.
I agree. If there's any information to pass on, we will pass it on. But Peter, I think we have passed information on in our news.
Can I just...
Perhaps you let the clerk read this out.
I can't comment on the minutes because normally these reports are derived directly from the minutes, but these are just two I picked up as I came out. This is June. Speculative development approaches. The clerk reported on several approaches made by landowners or their agents regarding the possibility of development on various sites abutting the 1998 local village plan development boundary. Any communication is governed by the council's pre-act protocol. A recent meeting had included the chairman and vice chairman of council, vice chairman of planning, and ward members from county and district councils, and a public consultation is promised by the developer in July, which I think then happened. And another one in July, speculative development approaches. It was noted that a further meeting had been held including county and district board members with a developer seeking to assess the possibility of development on sites abutting the 98 local plan village development boundary. Under the constraints of the council's pre-act protocol, the meeting was shown plans for a site to the north and south of Weatherden Road at the eastern edge of the village, and the site between Crestmeadow Way and Warren Lane, accessed from Warren Lane. The scope and nature of the proposals were to be made clear in a community consultation of Blackbourn in advance of a planning application to be made to Mid-Suffolk. On the village's behalf, the shortcomings of the current infrastructure had been clearly and forcefully highlighted, with particular reference to education, health and traffic problems over the railway crossing. Such factors are addressed within the planning process with reference to the agencies involved, County Council Education and Highways officers and the local NHS. Their expert view is weighed against the relentless government drive for housing and is determined with reference to policy and guidance from the Department of the Environment, tested as necessary through the Planning Inspectorate Appeals process. Now, I can't swear, but I would have thought that was derived from something in the minutes, but until I see the minutes, I don't know.
I'll have a look, because that's my attention.
Rather than going back, let's go forward. And let's ensure that any discussions or approaches will be, any information that's relevant will be put in the minutes.
What would you class development?
You can't.
So are you saying then, you're suggesting that if I don't think development, every single member of the village will come to this meeting, I'm saying our council do it. That's what you're suggesting.
I'm suggesting that we take a view, a balanced view, and anything that we believe is worthy of note for the village, we will report it. But until we get the hard information, until we really get the planning application.
Not
That's
so,
what
Fred.
Sorry,
Not
Fred,
so.
I'm just
Not
talking.
so. I
Just
know,
no,
Fred,
please,
but
I'm talking.
But Norton
please.
have got off the, you know,
Here we
they're
go.
off the
Here we
block
go.
straight away.
Fortunately, we haven't had any of
We're
this
not waiting
interruption.
for the planning applications,
No.
they are
For the
dealing
last
with
3
it.
months, we've had very formal and reasonable meetings. Can I ask
But
that
what
at
we're
least you come
getting
through
from
the
you is a
chairman?
load of waffle,
Well,
a
then-
load of waffle.
Okay, will you then choose to take that waffle or not? Julia?
There's a couple of things I'd like to say. First of all, we also live here, so we want the best, you know, we want the best for the village, and we're trying to get the best and make sure things are put in place to get them, so we have a say in how they're built. And the second thing is, if you're that concerned, why didn't you put yourself forward for the council to sit on it? Then you could have been more
That's
involved.
something I've got spoken over the top of people twice, and I do apologise.
Sorry?
It's not the way I normally work. I'll just take that for you. I spoke very briefly about that while I was talking to Jojo, and it's something that I would seriously consider. So, do I think that's something I can contribute? Yes. Do I doubt that, do I think everybody on the council wants ill forever? Oh, no, otherwise you wouldn't say that.
Well, it's very refreshing to hear you say that, because I'm afraid that within the village there is a faction which seems to think that we are continually conspiring against the welfare of the village. And that is very regrettable, and that is reflected in the fact that the council comes under unjustified criticism when it does take action. You have to bear in mind that the parish council's only got limited powers. Our powers are very largely advisory. The only actual power we have, I think, as far as I can remember, is to name streets, and that's about it. But we do try to influence the higher authorities, but we only have the power to, we have the ability to advise them, and we have consistently opposed some developments in the village. We opposed the vacant factory site in its way they've done it, but because of powers above us and a certain amount of negligence by other higher authorities within the county, we are landed with a situation where both the district council and ourselves are powerless to stop these developments, because the government has got this urge to build houses. And quite frankly, anybody who's moved into Elmswell in the last 25 years should be aware that Elmswell has been put as a village which we developed fairly comprehensively. So it ill-behaves people to complain that when we get all these houses, because it was going to happen anyhow. And when they bought their house, their solicitor, who should and may have done, pointed out that Elmswell is a village that is likely to get a lot bigger. And that should have been put into people's minds. I think, you know, it is difficult to stop these things.
But not in this space and the time that the number of houses which are likely to be built in Elmswell at the moment, that's too much too soon.
No,
Yeah.
Well, I would agree with that. I'm afraid we are confined by circumstances.
I think everybody around in this room will be of that opinion. Too much, too soon, insufficient infrastructure.
They're going to evolve.
Sorry, yeah, please, yeah.
They have to evolve the infrastructure first, surely.
No, that's not British way.
It doesn't.
How will we do?
No, it's not. We failed to do that. I mean, you could go to any place in the whole of the country, and they build the houses and there's infrastructure later.
It floods 2 winters later.
It doesn't. I totally agree with you, and it's the point. I'm new to council. I'm new to local politics. I've spent my last 50 years in industry on major projects, and everything I ever done in my whole life, you build infrastructure first, and then you build the facilities.
I mean, those are the
But
parts you need to
that
go
is-
to.
When I talk to politicians, when I talk to various levels of council, they look at me as though I've got two heads.
It's like I spoke to the Pegasus group about the school. The school was obviously too small now for the village.
Yes.
I said to them, what about this? You've got 180 up there for the labour factory. If you're going to build, obviously not all three will get passed, I'm sure. I don't know. I said, what are you going to do at the school? Well, you know, we looked at that. We'll look at that afterwards. I'm afraid it's
Too late.
It's too late.
We did put, as Peter mentioned earlier, we put this letter to Jo Churchill, and at the end of the letter we asked her for 4 specific questions in terms of current infrastructure level and what it can take. And she said she was going to come back to us. In other words, if we, simple, something that I know about, if we have a sewage plant of X size, currently working at 85%, it's ever so simple to crunch the numbers and say that sewage plant will only serve another Y amount of houses. Likewise with doctor surgeries, likewise with schools, likewise with roads. And she did go, she took that very seriously and went along and
I think there's an influx of facts there where the roads are that much.
well, I think so. Sorry, you've been very patient waiting for it.
Just to make the council aware, I travel the Cambridge to Spills, April 10th every year. And believe me, that is a busy section. The infrastructure still isn't ready for that.
No.
Well, they still haven't. So for the amount of houses and everything else we're going to have, with the Rutland development as well, there's going to be a massive amount of houses around here to start with. So I'll put that to the table, but first of all, just give it a thought. This is going to be a lot of
A14.
people will be driving through it to actually get away from the accidents and everything else.
But you call this London, so it'd be an amalgamation of London and Birmingham.
One more, and then obviously we've got, yeah.
Oh, so, gentlemen,
Can I ask for a copy of that letter, because I think it would be rather nice if we all sang from the same sheet.
Yes, yeah, no, there's no reason at all. Peter, if we, yeah, make that public, yeah.
That's exactly my point. And we just covered the appendices as well. So the appendices are on your website, I can't access. There's critical information, good information there is I can't access to.
Wander up to Peter's office and ask the question. I mean, that is the simple way of doing it.
I want a very simple visual question. Is the village's income and expenditure above £200,000? Say yes or no. Just like
Income and expenditure.
The precept's about 130,000.
Yeah.
it just tells me to what level of freedom of information and transparency that you've
Okay, but again, that's always in the normal parish council meetings.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much for that information. Thank you.
I was just thinking perhaps the editorial in the next Elmswell newsletter could be a little bit more appreciative of public comment, because the editorial in the current newsletter poo-poos the notion that the public should be against development. It says it's a waste of time, we're just going to be overridden anyway. And I think
we don't have, as a council, have control over
there's people around the table that are responsible for that editorial. And the editorial contradicted what it then published later in the magazine, when it published all the Borley Crescent people's objections to the proposed development, and it showed the developers' answers to those objections. Now, why publish that and yet have an editorial that says it's a waste of time objecting?
I can't answer that.
I think Peter said that about letters. The letter shouldn't be allowed in the parish newsletter.
No.
Well, the letter that...
Why not? The problem with the current editorial is it makes criticisms but does not accept redress against those criticisms.
It doesn't actually admit to it.
And it doesn't, they're anonymous.
That is not the business of the council. I've got to...
There are things written in your name.
There are things written in your name.
That is your responsibility.
It is your responsibility. You should.
And it's time you assume responsibility for what goes in your name.
No, I'm sorry, you're misunderstanding the way that the newsletter is a publication by the Amenities Association, which is a totally independent body, and what they decide to put in their editorial, whatever you think about it, is absolutely nothing to do, and the parish council has no control over it. They write in their editorial what they feel they want to write about, and we don't have any say in that. The only bit that let manage
Can I just also say that every time Leslie tries to say something, she's interrupted. I'm sorry, I've done it to you, David, but it happens all the time.
Well, let me just finish
It
my
can't
point.
happen all the time. She hasn't been
It
here.
does happen all the time.
Please, do
You've
not
done it
shout.
tonight.
Please be
I've worked
respectful.
you a lot of times, you've done
Please be respectful. Leslie hasn't.
And you, as a parish councillor, are respectful to all the other councillors. Look at the comments you made about the people who haven't stayed the course. I wonder why they haven't stayed the course.
I wonder why they haven't stayed the course.
Really? I can
Yes.
tell you exactly.
I told you the truth.
I'm sure you have
David put it right, he told you.
I'm just so
have your view.
sad.
Yeah,
You are our
That's
representative.
so sad that they've left, they couldn't hack it.
This is degeneration
Right.
into
They should have took a leaf out of my book and been here 30 years.
Right, sorry. Leslie, you wanted
First
to
of
add your
all,
hand raised.
this sort of debacle did not happen when I was chairing this parish council.
Why did you pack up? Oh, come on, because you couldn't hack it.
Please.
Come on, let's
Come
Okay,
on.
back to
okay, I've now got
Don't,
three.
oh, don't talk a load of
May I
nonsense then.
please make these points? Because this gentleman, right at the very beginning, raised a very important point. He asked why the public did not know that you'd been meeting Pegasus. Well, I'm a member of the council. I didn't know you were meeting Pegasus. So if you asked me, I could not have told you. Now, the pre-planning application protocol, before that's initiated, you should come to council to ask permission for representatives to go and meet those planners, those developers. You do not have the right to, off your own bat, to get together in some little cabal and go off and meet those developers. You have to tell council what you intend to do. You need to ask council's permission. Can I finish before you allow Peter to interrupt me?
Just trying to answer your
Now,
question.
there was the pre-planning application protocol that came out from Mid-Suffolk was very comprehensive, and I made the point that it was put together in order to make sure that there are safeguards against corruption, for want of a better word, because when you're dealing with large-scale planning applications, there's huge opportunity there for corruption. We watered that down, and we put together a pre-planning application protocol which actually left that wide open. It left it wide open so that this sort of thing can happen, where yourself and Peter
What sort of thing?
can go off on your own back without the permission of council to meet
It
developers.
wasn't Peter and myself going up around back. It was with other
Sarah.
councillors and other members.
Okay, if I can just make another point on the newsletter, there was an investigation into this council in 2006. Part of that investigation, the conclusions was that the parish clerk should give up editorial of the newsletter. 10 years on, he is still the editor of the newsletter. We still get these editorials, which vast numbers of people in the village object to, not just myself. It upset a lot of people, that editorial. So yes, it is the responsibility of this council that we have an employee who can then put on his voluntary hat, and using that editorial can undermine some of the workings of this council, can push this village in a particular direction. That is wrong, and we should need to look into that as a council. The last thing I wanted to say is, for a very brief time, I was on the neighbourhood plan group and was shocked to hear a number of people around this table are also on the pre-planning, on the neighbourhood plan group. Sarah is the chairman of that group, openly discussing 1,000 houses for Elmswell. You were openly discussing, and that's what you're going for. And I don't think you've ever spelled that out to this village, Sarah.
I'm not going for anything. I think that is a high probability. I'm not going for it. I'm not going to gain it.
You were enthusiastically voicing that.
Yes, well, that's because I think that if we have a small amount of development, we will get less back from anything. And
constitutes 25% of the volume already. It's huge, isn't it?
no, it isn't small amount, that's what I'm saying. If we have something, a small amount of housing, i.e. between 250 and 500, we will not get the infrastructure that we need to back it. I know it comes afterwards. If you go for between 250 and 500, the school will be in a worse position because there isn't sufficient to build a new school. This is the sort of information that we're finding. So,
but your views, are your views represented by the people that you speak on behalf? Have you spoken to the people beyond you? I understand your views, and I fully respect it. They want the best snap off to me as well. But have you gone back? Because you have the power as council to run a referendum if you want to have. We've got the power to call it our own parish meeting and almost force you down that route.
I don't think. But let's not go. Peter, sorry, we did have somebody else. Peter, you wanted to make a comment about the.
Just in response to Councillor Reid, the issues that she raises are quite clearly can be the subject of proposals to the meeting. For example, to change the structure of the pre-application protocol is simply a matter of a proposal to council.
Can I say, for the benefit of the, can I reply to that, please? For the benefit of the council, over the years it's been said to me time and time and time again, if you don't like something, put in a proposal. And then privately it's been said to me, of course you won't get it through. You won't get it through. It is, David.
No, it's not the issue. If you have a proposition and you put it, it does ensure that it is debated properly.
David?
What you do, you raise these red herrings, and then when you're pinned down to bring a proper proposition to the council, you back off.
David, how? No, because during the time I was the chairman, I put in proposal after proposal after proposal. The clerk refused to put them on the agenda, and I've still got the emails showing.
Sorry.
I've still got the emails showing that.
Could you present those emails to the next meeting?
For what purpose?
Clarity.
I'm not lying.
For the purpose of transparency.
No, that's true.
No, for the purpose of transparency.
I can happily do that.
Can I just come in there?
Yeah.
Forget what you're talking about. I'm more concerned about these houses.
Exactly
We're talking
right.
about houses, right? What about Thurston Walk? Why are you sort of
I'm not proposing anything.
No, you
I
always
agree. I believe that is what is going to be
You
we're going to
rather,
get.
and we've had 1,000
No, I
houses.
wouldn't rather.
No, you said,
Don't put words into my mouth.
That's what you said.
No, I would not rather have 1,000 houses. I said that if we have between 250 and 500 houses, I think we'll be in a worse position than if we have 1,000 houses. I wouldn't rather anything. I am not proposing anything. I think that we will end up with about up to 1,000 new houses, if not more.
So what would you like Thurston Walk to do?
I have no idea what Thurston Walk is.
You just said you'd like 1,000 here.
I wouldn't like 1,000 anyway. I did not say that. Please don't put words into my mouth. I do not want 1,000 houses. But I think Elmswell may be better off with 1,000 houses than 500 houses.
I'm afraid we did
Could we come back to an orderly discussion, please? Julia, you wanted to respond.
I would just like, in Sarah's defence, to say that I've sat on this neighbourhood plan, and Sarah has got 100% the best interests of this village. And it's about getting it right, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean,
because there's no point building X amount of houses and, your school can manage with it, or we'll have 6 porta cabins in the playing field. It's about getting it right.
Yeah.
So Sarah, she did not say any point that we need 1,000 houses.
Can I just make...
Sorry, David, it really, just for the public as well, the guy on the end been trying to say something for quite a long while.
I mean, just obviously to mediate the situation here, I mean, for me, in terms of what's available information-wise, I mean, we know that there are 3 different sites, on the agenda, maybe.
Actually, that's not quite true. In Suffolk District Council surveyed 8.
Let's just say what's proposed for this immediate area around the village.
No, it's for the village.
Okay, but, as far as stats, we don't know what's coming down from government level to what's coming from mid-Suffolk level in terms of the number of houses proposed. And I think what Sarah is trying to say is that she's trying to get the least of the evils. You know what I mean? Like if we have to have a maximum of X, and we'll take X rather than have Y come down from the top and say, listen, we've got 1,000. Maybe what we need to know from the council, if you guys know, is what is proposed in terms of numbers. So you can debate those issues, you know.
Can I just say that Mid-Suffolk,
That's what I'm saying. I'm
told
not just
that
arguing about neighbours.
they are likely to need in excess of 11,000 new houses in Mid-Suffolk. That's the 11,000 is the number that's been bandied around over the next 20 to 30 years. Now, if devolution goes ahead, and we have to work in collaboration with our neighbours, and if there is a certain number of devolution will tell or be a target from the government about how many houses will need to be built across Norfolk and Suffolk. Now, Ipswich itself doesn't have an awful lot of free land because it's already been built out. So any proposed development that has to go in Suffolk, Ipswich can't take its fair share because it hasn't got the land. Suffolk Coastal and Baber have got a lot of SSSI, nature conservation areas. Over in West Suffolk, you've got Thetford Forest, which won't be built on. So it looks likely that Mid-Suffolk is going to have to take more than its fair share because we don't have those protected bits of land within Mid-Suffolk. So the houses in Mid-Suffolk have got to go somewhere, and yes, they're going to pick their key service centres like Elmswell, which is served with a railway station and are adjacent to the A14. That is the sort of place that is going to be prime for development. So it's going to come our way anyway, regardless of whether we want it or not.
I actually agree with everything you're saying. I really do. The only thing I need to take exception to is actually getting that out to the population of people so they know that. And then if they decide that they want to try and fight on mass, then they can do that. They have that right. That's the only thing I mind. I don't think I'm saying you're all wrong.
But that information has been in the public domain for years. And it's only now that it's being finalised that people are getting agitated. The fact that Elmswell and Woolpit and Thurston and Needham Market and Stowe Market have been scheduled for substantial development has been known since the 1970s. And yet the people don't seem to appreciate that this information has been around.
It's a very good point. Okay, so for a living, I'm a quality and commodities business improvement manager. What a wonderful title. But what it actually means is I have to remind professional people processes and systems in place for years that they've forgotten about or don't know where they are. And it's just about coming back and reminding them. It's amazing how much I have to talk to people who are highly qualified and actually do what we're doing to them because this is the process in place. So it's just bloody frustrating. It really is. But it's not the role. And people in the general public, they move into the village, they don't know, there's a lot of movement. They just need telling you. And so the population, I class myself as a 4-year-old, and actually would keep reminding me.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate the point.
Thank you for your input, Peter.
Just to bring two sides together here, whatever the neighbourhood plan says and whatever has been heard is very much at the basis of the discussion. Whatever it says will go to referendum. The neighbourhood plan has to be the subject of referendum. So it isn't a matter of a small group of people, a small caucus deciding. It has to go to referendum.
So I know the answer to this, but it's a rather challenging question. So does that mean, so Pegasus has put an application for the properties behind between Warren Lane and Crescent Meadow, they put their application in the first December, does it stop that?
No. If it had been, if the whole neighbourhood plan process had gone ahead, fine, it would have had the power to stop it, but no, it doesn't. It's a race against time. We're losing.
Absolutely. And again, people need to realise.
Well, I think again, the newsletter does report very adequately on that.
I think there are other ways to do it.
I think part of the problem, Sarah, if you don't mind me saying so, is that the neighbourhood plan process, your committee has been working very, 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 very slowly. Mm-hmm. And we've been overtaken by events. And partly because you do not have the right people on your committee. You're a very small committee for a start, because if you read the roadmap, it says about 22 people. Now, there are only about 14 on there, and most of them do not have the necessary skills in my view. And I'm sorry if I upset anybody by saying that, but they just don't have the necessary skills.
Okay, I think that's your view, and I will question your qualifications to make that.
Well, you
view,
always
but,
do.
Of course. So
Yeah.
I think if there's no more public questions, I think we'll. And thanks for the input from the members of the public. Thanks, Rob.
Rob, is it?
Rob.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Obviously,
I needed a name.
Councillor.
So great. So 19 to note next.
Who's leaving?
Oh,
18.
sorry, 18. Any other council business for information to be noted or for inclusion on a future agenda?
Nothing to reach out.
Too late
No?
for me to start on something else.
I'll wait
save
for the
it.
next meeting, David.
I'll save it.
Okay.
I'll be here next half
So, no?
Yeah.
No? Okay. Fine.
Well done.
Good.
Okay. So on to 19, to note the next meeting of the council will be scheduled for Monday the 19th of September, beginning at 7:30 at Blackpool. So I'd like to close the meeting.